Welcome to our new student and family virtual Q&A with Housing and Residential Life. We are so lucky that so many of the wonderful members of Housing and Residential Life are here joining us today. We have a very packed session. I'm going to wait probably just about 30 more seconds to give people an opportunity to join us today and work out any of those Zoom kinks. While we wait, my name is Rachel Sanchez, she, her. I'm the Associate Director for New Student and Family Programs. New Student and Family Programs is a department here on campus that oversees student orientation, advising, and registration, also known as SOAR. It's a required program for all incoming first-time students as well as transfers. We also oversee parent and family programming, which is awesome, keeping those family members and supporters connected. And then the last program that falls under us is called First Year Beach Connections, which is just ongoing programming to keep students connected and create that sense of belonging here at the university. So we are one department. We do kind of some larger programming. It's really awesome. And yeah, we're very excited to be here today with all of you. Um, I think we should probably get started. Again, just for those of you who are just joining us, my name is Rachel Sanchez. I am the Associate Director for New Student and Family Programs. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here with our wonderful slideshow. All right. Perfect. And hopefully everyone got the note that we are recording this session for those of folks who are not able to join us today. All right. What to expect today? Oh, I just did the welcome. What to expect today? We're going to have a 30-minute presentation from Housing and Residential Life. Then we will have a 25-minute Q&A session. They are going to talk about all kinds of awesome topics, including obviously about housing, dining and programming, the application process itself, as well as the waitlist process, the rates for on-campus housing, and then they'll touch on some off-campus housing resources to wrap it up today. I am going to let them introduce themselves, and let's go ahead and get started with that. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Okay. Hi, my name is Rashawn Jayasinghe. I am the housing occupancy analyst. Been in housing in Long Beach for a long time, so there I kind of what we call bleed blood and gold, black and gold and all that. So, and I'm here to talk about the application process, what about housing, and all things that you may have questions for.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Elliott. I use she, hers pronouns, and I'm one of our assistant directors of residential life, mainly overseeing our student staff training, as well as our residential curriculum and all of the learning and engaging opportunities that happen here in the halls. I will pass it to Sarai.
Hello, I'm Sarai. I'm fairly new to housing, but I do work alongside Roshan as an occupancy analyst.
Hi, Sarah Drischler, she, her pronouns. I'm the Associate Director in Residential Life.
All right. Oh, sorry about that. Helps if it lets me go forward, and there we go.
Okay. So a little bit about housing facilities. We have about 27 physical buildings as part of our housing regional life within the landlocked of Long Beach State. Within housing, we break it up into 3 villages. So you'll always see some names like Hillside Village, Parkside Village, and Beachside Village. They're just in areas, certain sections off areas of the halls. All of our housing is on the west side of the campus, northwest side of campus, and Beachside is our one satellite off-site, just a mile west from the campus off of PCH and Clark. We house about 3,200 students for those 21 buildings. We have 3 dining halls, and that is managed by our campus beach shops, which also runs the dining services and is part of the bookstore as well. We have numerous number of staffs, Director of Residential Life, the Director of Housing, Executive Director of Housing and Residential Life, housing, 1 associate, 2 assistant directors, 3 area coordinators. These are all, and I'm not gonna read them all because I think you guys can read too. So all of them are here to help your student transition from living from home and dealing with high school to being in college and getting that true aspect of college life and learning in the halls as well as on campus and stuff. We have seen trends of where students who have lived in housing tend to be more in retention and graduating within that 4 years mark that they want to do. So it's a good thing to be in housing. Next slide. Next slide, sorry. So as I mentioned, we have the beach shops dining hall services. They run the 3 dining halls that we have, 1 in each village. They offer 3 meal plans, a 10 meal plan, a 210 block plan, and a 19 meal plan. There is an option for a beach bucks, which is a campus wide thing, and it's basically putting $300 on their beach buck at the beginning of the fall semester, and they can use that on convenience stores, the bookstores, things like that. Or if for some reason they want to pay for a colleague or a guest coming in. The meal plans are pretty much straightforward. 10 meals is 10 meals per week. The jumping into the last one of the 19 meals is 19 more weeks. The 210 block is the only one that's a declining meal plan. So basically you're beginning at the beginning of the semester, each semester, 210 meal plans. And every time you swipe, it deducts from there. On average, is about 13 meals per week. And what happens is if it runs out, students would just pay out of pocket at the door, whatever the cost for that meal is during that period that they arrive. We haven't seen a whole lot of students do that because they're keeping track of it. And if they're not sure, they can always ask the checker or even the ID card services what their balance and meals are for that time. None of the meals in terms of the 10 meal and 19 meal plan roll over to the next week. It's kind of the old school AT&T, you use it or lose it kind of thing. It doesn't roll over. So the dining hall offers 19 meals total in meal services. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, Monday through Friday, and brunch and dinner on Saturdays and Sunday. That being because some students will sleep in on the weekends or doing their plans or stuff like that. Also, others may be working on weekends or going home, things like that. So they have these plans have been worked out over tested time and kind of worked out in terms of the students' needs. Next slide. So I'm going to hand over this portion to Hannah. We can talk about residential curriculum.
Yeah, so I nerd out on this stuff. I will try to keep it a little bit short-winded so we have some times for that Q&A. But our residential curriculum here is called the Beach Journey. We acronym out what beach means. So we have 5 different learning goals we hope that all students are able to engage with over their time here. Being and belonging, so that sense of self, that sense of connection to others. Essential life skills, so for the parents or the guardians in the chat, do they know how to do their laundry? Do they know how to cook something in one of our community kitchens without setting the building alarm on fire? Do they know how to manage a budget? Those sort of pieces. Academic engagement, so obviously that academic support, engaging with campus, making sure they're going to office hours if they need to, tutoring sessions if they need to. Cultural competencies, so understanding they're coming in with their own lived experience, but that we all come in with our own different stories in life. And so being able to engage cross-culturally, learning new things about new people, and then holistic wellness. So not just, how do I maybe take a deep breath and relax a little bit, which I think we do a lot of, scrolling and disconnecting a little bit, but also making sure we can get connected to the support resources that CSULB has, should they be experiencing anything like stress or mental health concerns, etc. This is all under the umbrella of hoping that they become more inclusive, responsible, mindful, and engaged community members. So knowing they might not live on a college campus forever, but we all live in community. And so really wanting to build out those building blocks as they start to learn or continue to learn what adulthood means for them. We do all of this through various workshops. We connect a lot with our campus partners, such as the one on this chat. Social media, we want to meet them where they are. We know a lot of our students are on Instagram, which is our main social media platform, as well as our Facebook page. We have a newsletter. We have bulletin boards and different materials up throughout the communities. We have the Residence Hall Association. So if you have any students that are currently involved with their student government in any sort of way, or maybe they're planning prom, or whatever that looks like on their high school campuses or their community college campuses, RHA is a great way to get involved with doing some of that large scale programming here at the beach. And then student employment. So all of our residential desks need desk assistants, as well as our main housing office. Our dining halls are operated through beach shops, as Rashawn mentioned, but they also hire student employees, which are great ways to get employed here at the beach, but here in housing. Additionally, we have thematic communities. And so there are 6 total. All students, regardless of sex, race, color, national origin, or any other protected identity, are welcome and eligible to participate in any of our thematic houses. But our specific houses are our honors house, which is the only limitation is we do ask that they are part of the honors program here on campus. So an admitted honors student. We have our Pride House, our International House. Those are our 3 houses up in Hillside. Our Black and Pan-African Scholars House, as well as our First Gen House down in Parkside. And then Beachside has our transfer community. Like we said, these communities are open to all, but really do some intentional community work surrounding common experiences or interests. And so we do a lot of dialogue-based programs. I know we are doing with our BPASH community a hair expo. So just like having a space to talk about, exchange different curly hair products, talk about what braiders folks like to go to. Our First Gen House has done some great work with campus to do some like financial literacy programming, the same as transfer community, as well as some other great programs across all of our communities.
Thank you, Hannah. So now it's my turn to talk about the application process. Hopefully your student has already or is thinking and will do soon. Our application opened on April 2nd at 10 a.m. The priority deadline for new applicants is May 1st, before midnight of that night. This will give us a chance to collect all the students who applied and completed the application and sort them based on our criteria. To complete the application, they need to pay a $275 service fee. For those who may have some financial hardships or whatnot, they can do a sign up for the fee deferment process, which basically drops it down the $275 to $100. But either way, that payment will need to be made on the application in order to complete the application. I will caution students and parents that when they submit the payment, they also will get back on the application, continue to the last 2 pages, because some people think they make a payment and they're done. That doesn't quite complete the application as much. There is a part where it says submit the application and make sure you submit that, that way it's locked in. Now for our confirmation process, we're going to take all those students who did complete their application and put them in order based on distance from the university. So the closer you are, or towards the bottom, the further you are, you're towards the top. We will get questions, and I know it'll get repeated, but people will ask, and it all depends on the number of students and where these students are applying from. If we have a larger student population coming from New York or Canada or Greenland or whatever, it's gonna then push that close by radius further down. So it all is a matter of those applicants that come in, we'll put them in order, we'll go down the list of number of spaces we have to confirm. Anyone after that, keeping that order of that we set up, we will keep them in that order and put them on the wait list. I know parents are like, wait list, what? So keep in mind, the wait list is right now too early. It's just because we only have a certain number of bed spaces, as I mentioned, about 3,200 bed spaces. And if 4,000 students apply, we're definitely going to have some students on the wait list. That does not mean they're not gonna get housing. It means that don't put all your eggs in one basket. Kind of start looking at some alternative options softly in the beginning. If you get on the wait list, we'll email the students saying that they're either confirmed as space or waitlisted. Those who are waitlisted are welcome to email and ask us where they are on the wait list. We are planning aggressively to update our wait list every 2 weeks in terms of any cancellations in front of people, in terms of cancellations of confirmed spaces, to pull people off the wait list into those. So in the first month, I asked, don't call or don't do it daily asking what your waitlist number is. Just do it about every 2 weeks or so. Once we start getting into the bulk of summer and June and July, then we'll start knowing where our trends are in terms of cancellations. So, next slide. So, as I mentioned, we have about 3,200 bed spaces for students and stuff. 450 of them have been reserved for our continuing residents, the residents that are in housing. So that should put a light bulb saying that housing is not guaranteed for 4 years. It's apply every year, and then you go from there. So for those students who are currently living with us, they had a small window in March to apply. They've already been informed if they're confirmed or even on a wait list for the returners. So the rest of those students, the rest of those spaces are for the new applicants coming in. No matter which waitlist you're on, you're only going to be taken off the waitlist to fill a space if it's for the same type of person. So if a continuing returner resident cancels, a continuing returner on the waitlist is going to fill that space. A new applicant cancels, a new applicant is going to fill that space. Just to be fair in all trends and keeping those numbers up. Next slide. So we set a priority deadline on mid-1st. Now, the concerned residents who applied in March, if they didn't apply, or new applicants who apply after May 1st, or past residents who don't live here now but have lived in housing before, they all get a chance to apply after May 1st. One caveat is that they're automatically placed on the wait list based on the type that they are. And they are at the bottom of the wait list after all those students who we already had on the wait list. So new applicants who are on the wait list, say 1 to 200 because of their distance mark. Anyone who applies after May 1st is going to end up being 201, 202 down the road. We keep our wait list up and running or trying to diminish it to make it 0 all through summer and into the first couple of weeks of school. So if someone applies late and then they end up on a wait list, if luck of the draw happens that people in front of them cancel or more cancellations happen, they might get housing, but it may not be until late August or September or something. So it all depends where the trend of our cancellation comes in. There is no penalty. I want to say there's no penalty staying on the wait list. If you're on a wait list and you're doing that little egg check of where alternative options for alternative housing options off campus and stuff, great. If you find something and you lock it in, then make sure you cancel off the wait list. The service fee is the only time that it will be refunded is if you cancel off a wait list. If you're confirmed a space or been notified of a confirmed space and then cancel, then that that service fee is non-refundable. So again, the only time it'll get refunded is if you're canceling off the wait list. And being on the wait list, obviously there's no penalty until you need to cancel or you get a space. Next slide. So housing rates are broken down here. You kind of get an idea of what the rates are per room type. We have triples, which are at beachside. We have doubles that are around all 3 villages aspects. Double plus is the definition of double plus is basically Cerritos and Alamitos halls, traditional halls that were renovated and updated. They have air conditioning and a shared kitchen. And then we have the premium, which was our now 3 years old new building, Parkside North, and that has all the amenities as well as some extra study rooms and things like that. The meal plans are noted as well. So the housing cost is a room type plus the meal plan that you have. That is the total cost for the academic year with those 2 numbers added. If you want to gauge an idea where a monthly payment would be, because you can't put on a monthly payment, The monthly payment, for example, for a double standard with a 210 block, total for a year is about 15,454. But if you break that into 8 payments for the school year, it comes out to about 1,900 plus. Okay. So again, those changes based on whatever room type you end up being assigned to, whether it be from room selection process or auto assignments, and then the meal plan you chose. Next slide. I did mention while you're on the wait list, or if you're thinking, you know what, I'd rather just do off-campus housing and not have to worry about housing on campus. We do have an off-campus housing resource on our website. We had a new, pretty much the same amount of months that Sari has been here, that has been working with our off-campus third-party vendor site called College Paths. She's also been doing some webinars and some virtual roommate mixers and things like that. So if students are looking for off-campus housing, this is the source that we're going to point them to. It should be noted that even though we provide this resource, we are not responsible for what the vendors do or how the students react. And so we'll sometimes get calls like, your student from Long Beach is doing this. I'm like, well, they're your tenant. You have to take care of that. And vice versa. A landlord is doing something, they want to check legality, they would need to go to our legal resources on campus to figure out if there's legal ramifications going on or not. But we direct them. We're not responsible for supervising or managing those. We're just helping students help ease the transition to college if they can't get on campus housing. So our get to know us, get to ask us, follow up with us, information. Our website is housing.csulb.edu. Everything I just explicitly explained, everything that Hannah kind of explained, anything else that you wanted to find out about housing is on our website. If you have questions or you get waiting listed, email us at our housing email address, which is stated there. Social media, like we said, we have the Facebook page, we have the Instagram page, and our phone number is listed. If there's questions about the application process, you can reach out to our office. Any of my staff, student staff can answer the basic questions. If it gets into a little more detail, like what if it's not, Sari and I can answer those questions. Any student who is requesting to have an emotional support animal or service animal, they also need to make sure they do a BMAC, my BMAC housing accommodation form with BMAC, which is the Bob Murphy Access Center. They will notify if a person is approved for that, and then we'll work with the student to cross the T's and dot the I's in that. And of course, thematic communities and anything residential curriculum wise, Hannah is your person to talk to.
What I can also add in there as far as emotional support animals, that needs to be done before the animal is brought to campus.
Yes.
So we do see a lot of folks bringing their kitty or their dog or whatever that might mean for them on move-in day. And unfortunately, we can't have them in the building due to our own policies and agreements with campus.
Yeah, that is also part of a campus thing. That even if you wanted an ESA to come to you with class and stuff, it has to go through REMAC, make sure they get approved and stuff like that. And then they will notify us and we'll contact the resident that's coming in that, hey, you've been approved, here's some extra things you need to do, a couple of extra little forms and documentation for our end. That's that. So as Hannah mentioned, make sure the paperwork and stuff is done and approval is done before you bring the animal in. So I saw a question in right now that I see that what happens when there's a school break. So one-off school breaks, campus is still open, we're still managing housing and stuff like that. Fall break and spring break is part of the housing contract, so students can't stay. Just know that those days the dining hall may not have service, but most students will just find Grubhub or something for delivery or go from there. Winter session, winter break is the only time where it's a supplemental extra license to sign up for. Students would sign up for that and they're charged per week. No meal service during that time, but they need a place to stay or whatnot. This past winter it was $60 a week for service. So for 5 weeks it ended up being $300, which In a hotel, that's probably one night, so you got 5 weeks in there, so if that needs to happen. Should be noted that all our buildings are co-ed. It does not necessarily mean the room is co-ed itself, except for Pride House and any of those students who's selected to want to be in gender neutral. When we say gender neutral, it means it does not matter what gender identity or biological aspect that the person is. They're going to be roommate with whatever person identifies as and wants to be in a gender neutral room. Pride House is automatically all that. That includes the room, the suites, and the bathrooms. And Pride House, the bathrooms are individually one shower, one toilet access. So that gives that a little bit more privacy in that aspect, but it's not necessarily a private bathroom just for that student. So I already started answering good questions, and I know
Yeah.
that everybody else has been answering some questions on the Q&A, which is great. So I guess we can open it up to that. Let's see.
Yeah. Let's, if you are not familiar with the Zoom Q&A, um, it is at the bottom of your screen. You can type in the questions, obviously, and the housing staff will either type it or answer it live, like Roshan has been doing. Big thanks to everybody who's been jumping in there. I'll answer one live right now. Stephen Shapiro, for summer orientation dates, we're actually going to cover that very briefly at the end of this session, but it's all in the summer, and it looks like Nina's jumping in there to provide you some detail on that. So let's see. It looks like
So
people are
I do see
typing.
that Sari is about to answer a question for Brian about the clarification of difference in terms of housing costs per summer, per year. So to make an understanding, the contract for housing is fall and spring academic year, one whole year. So 4 monthly payments in fall, 4 monthly payments in spring. And the way it is broken down because of campus process, they will put whatever charges is for fall in fall, and financially would do the same thing. So what you see the full academic year is the academic year, but if you want to gauge what you need to understand per semester, what that means in per semester, that's the column of semester rate. But if you add that if you times that by 2, you see that it comes out to the same as the actual academic year. Financial aid, because I just mentioned it briefly, does when a student gets financial aid, they get whatever they are, qualified for, and then whatever the student signs up and says, I want to accept, that's the amount that they're going to get for the school year. What you need to understand is that amount is split in 2. So if, say, for example, they accepted $18,000, 9,000 is for fall and 9,000 is for spring. And so it works into that. It's a little bit more longer conversation on that. If you have some specific questions, by all means, email us with that and explain how in detail that works. In regards to when you find out if you get housing or on the wait list. So as I mentioned, the priority deadline is May 1st. And Sari and I will be vigorously working that Friday and most likely the weekend and Monday and stuff to let students know if they've gotten the space or if they're on the wait list by Wednesday, May 7th. So please be patient. I know there's anxiety and wanting to know and get the next steps rolling and stuff, but please be patient. We're working as fast as we can, and we want to get that information as fast as we can to you, so then you can follow what steps. So yeah.
What about, how do you decide what type of dorm students will be placed into?
That is a good question. So the way it works is in the application process, there's 2 aspects in terms of hall assignments. One was being they can rank top 2 choices of the community that they want, which would be the thematic communities or just general. And in that aspect, being general in Parkside, being general Beachside, or being general in Hillside. On top of that, there is a question asking the students, what is your preferred room type? Now, the preferred room type question is basically our backup if the student did their application, got confirmed, and then literally went on summer vacation and didn't do anything with their application, therefore all summer. After roommate selection process, after room selection process, we use that to best fill where that student's gonna fit. Now, mind you, that means it's gonna be whatever is remaining available. So for example, if someone didn't choose anything and they chose double premium and there's no more spaces in double premium, they're gonna go down to wherever is available in that aspect. So assignments is, if you're wanting to throw the dice and let it land where it is and you don't do anything about it, that's what you're doing. We're assigning them based on what's available. But students who get confirmed will have a chance in June, late May, all of June to do roommate selection process. And then from July after the holiday, they'll be able to select a room. So confirmation will be based on either you're in a thematic community, therefore you know what you're already assigned to a specific building because of that community placement, or you're confirmed based on a room type, and then so the students you talk to will be the same students who have that same room type, and then you'll be able to search the rooms within that room type aspect. So a lot more building options if you're doing double, if you've chosen double standard, bases 2 buildings in terms of double plus, and then of course triples being at each site.
Great. I am going to chime in here and just ask all attendees to go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A box, not in the chat. We are not really keeping an eye on the chat. We are answering questions in the Q&A as quickly as we can get to them, whether that's live or typed. So please go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A box rather than the chat. Oh, this is a good one. I asked you this earlier, Roshan. Can you give us a typical number of applicants each year versus the number of housing slots available?
I can. So so I actually talked in our little double checking with numbers and stuff. The past couple of years, our application total, meaning someone had submitted or started an application, was around 6,500. Now, of that 6,500, based on looking at it after I told everybody, was that about 4,000, 4,500 may have been completed applications. That's also including all the returners that have tried to apply and all the new students that have applied. Our average bed spaces availability is, like I said, 3,200, about 450 to 500 being for returner students and the rest for new students. So you're looking at about 2,700 new students getting into housing, whether they be freshmen, sophomore, juniors, or transfers. It's just where in that priority window they applied. If they applied within that priority window, then they're going to be ordered based on distance. Anyone who applied after that priority window is again placed on the wait list based at the bottom of that wait list, and they're based by date and completion. So if someone later decided to apply on May 2nd at 10 a.m., they're going to be higher than the person who applied at 11 a.m. or noon. But there's still all those people are at the bottom of those who didn't get in based on the priority window. We have gone through our wait list all summer and pulled people off the wait list due to people in front of them canceling, due to spaces being confirmed and canceled because the student decided that they chose Long Beach because it necessarily was the best option, and then they realized they were waiting. The school opened up a spot for them, and so they canceled Long Beach, and that opens up. Or they forgot to do something that connected to completing their transcript information. So there's a lot of different variables of why a student may cancel. But no matter what, if a spot is canceled, then we pull people off the wait list for that. Last year, we were pulling people off the wait list into the first couple of weeks of school, but all those students who did get off were excited and happy and actually applied for next year, this upcoming year. And then the year before that, we had up to the moving day and a handful, talking about like 10 or 12, still on the wait list, but again, they were able to get into housing. We do that because there are some students who decide they're not going to come to university anymore, and they told the university, I'm not going to attend, or they don't register at SOAR and stuff. So after a certain time period, it's like, okay, you're kind of like withdrawn from the university. But they forget they applied in fall period for university. And now they're applying now in May and April for housing. So if you cancel one, it does not automatically mean you cancel the other. So it's very important if you're one of those students who ends up deciding they're going to cancel, not come to Long Beach, or decide to commute for that matter, make sure you cancel your application for housing online.
Roshan, can you talk a little bit about the roommate process? There's a couple of questions about asking to room with a friend and just
That
the
is one of
process
my
in general.
favorite topics to talk about. We get a lot of the past years. Social media has been a blessing and a curse. It's been a blessing because we're getting out information, we're getting the right information. Because students these days are all about the technology aspect right then and there, so it's great. But it has also been a little bit of a curse because they'll meet someone at SOAR or they'll meet someone online through whatever Facebook page that ends up being created by some student or family member, and they meet this person they want to be roommates with. It doesn't work that way because of the fact that if person A gets into the honors program and is in honors, and they wanted to be roommates with a friend who's at person B who's not in honors, they're not going to see each other in the roommate selection process. They're only going to see those that are in that same community aspect. So we do tell students, don't bank on who you're meeting with right away and stuff like that. You're going to do the roommate selection process through our portal. And that's where you're going to find them. Now, there will be occasionals and we have seen it like, oh, I want a roommate with my brother, who's my twin brother, and they were incidentally, because they did their applications at different times, chose different things, and so they weren't in the same category of groups. They can reach out to us and we'll see it. That can't be done for everybody because we only have a certain number of spaces everywhere. So, for example, the hot topic that always comes up, and I brought this up even just in a small discussion, is that you're applying and you want Parkside North, Parkside Premium, double premium. Reality is, it's lovely to have everybody in there. It's great that we want everyone to be there, but the reality is, if 1,600 students that get confirmed choose Parkside North as their first choice preference, only 400 of those students are going to be happy campers. The rest will still be happy campers because they have housing in the university. They just won't be in their preference of Parkside North. So keep that in mind in terms of when you're doing it. Yes, it's a baseline for us to be able to start putting people in the community groups and aspects. But the one thing that you want to take away from all of this is if you got that email, whether it's you've been taken off the wait list or you confirmed, you have a space in one of our spots of housing at Cal State Long Beach. So that's the main goal, especially if you're living far away or whatnot, or needing to do that. You got that spot, you got that roof over your head, you got the meal plan you are looking at, where that works. It's a matter of just being the quote unquote social butterfly, or the aspect of just networking with people and get to know. I've had students who come up to me saying, I originally wanted this building because my friend was going in there and they were in a completely different building. They made more friends in the new place they're in and are still friends with the other people. And now they double the amount of friends because they networked with each areas and connected by them to being separate places. So that's the great thing about residence life and housing on campus.
And I will jump in on that as well. I know we saw several questions about if I know this person, and Rashawn spoke to some of the administrative side of that. The other thing I recommend, I will never be the one to tell people not to room with someone they already know. What I will encourage is that people have intentional conversations of what it means to live with each other, if they are best friends, relatives, etc. I made a choice. One of my best friends and I went to the same college, and we chose not to live together because we had different standards for cleanliness. because she had a significant other that was going to be over all the time. And we didn't see eye to eye and had those conversations up front. And so we encourage you all, if you do have a student that wants to room with someone they know already, not just banking on the fact that they both listen to Billie Eilish and they love going to get their nails done together or play basketball with one another. Those things are great, but that does not make a great roommate relationship. Some of our best roommate relationships are people that do not talk to each other a lot. They're like, hey, how's your day? Good, have a good day. But they can coexist and respect one another. And so we facilitate when students are here, come August, they move in. We facilitate a roommate success plan process where we'll have them fill out an actual agreement with one another, whether they are best friends or strangers, to facilitate some of those conversations. And the students who are the most prepared have reflected on what they need from a roommate. So if you have a student who currently doesn't share a room, starting to think about what that looks like to share a room. If you have a student that, shares the room with 1, 2, 3 siblings or whatever that looks like in your household, getting them to think through what that looks like with someone they may or may not know very well, because conflict resolution looks different. I, like I said, roomed with a random person my freshman year of college. And the way Mackenzie and I had to deal with our conflicts was very different than the way I got to bully my little sister when she and I shared a room. So just thinking about some of those pieces as well.
Thanks, Hannah. That's really helpful. It looks like, Roshan, you're going to answer this next question live. If you get confirmed for housing, but not your preferred room type, can you stay on the wait list for that room type?
So yeah, so in terms of confirmation for housing, everyone, like I said, it goes by distance, and those who are confirmed for housing, that 2,700 students will be reviewed. It is not based on when their application was submitted. It's not based on when their distance. It's basically, we took this big group of people that applied, narrowed down to these are the people that are confirmed, and then they were randomizing based on their preference. And so if like 500 people wanted Parkside North, in terms of double premium, then we will randomize them and take the top numbers that fit in the space that we have of spaces. And then the rest will be plussed into the more general one of standard double, because that's about 80% of our housing. Is also the same thing in terms of regarding villages. If you're picking the double premium, you've already locked in what village you're wanting to get, which is Parkside North or Parkside. But if you don't get it, then it's just going to be again the random double standard and where our spaces will need to be filled in. So it is not by distance. Once this confirmation is made, the group of students is then random order selecting through what we need to. Obviously, those who are in a community selection get assigned to a community and thematic community. They're already set into one specific building, one specific village, just based on that location. And then the rest of the general will be shuffled around to be able to fit in the mold of how many we have in each area. Then for those of you who do get confirmed, there's no like, oh, I didn't get the room type I wanted. I want to be back. I want to be put on a wait list. You're not going to be able to do that. You're confirmed for space. We're looking at what we can. Now, there will be a moment late in the summer after room selection is done and everything, and students have been assigned and they didn't get what they wanted to prefer, they can put themselves on a room type wait list. It has been done the last 2 years, but very little movement has happened because it all depends on someone canceling out of that specific space. And under the understanding that if you put yourself on that room type wait list in late July, and you've already communicated with the roommate you have now and everything like that, and you get into the new room type, you're not pulling your roommate in with it. It is just you alone. So that means you have to decide, is the room type more important or the person you already have established a relationship in terms of being able to work in the room and stuff like that. So there's that. We've seen students have put that in and they realize, oh, I don't want this anymore because I'm really liking the person I'm going to be roommates with now. So So there will be an option to do a room type waitlist, but that's not until after our next phase of processes, which is the roommate selection and room selection process in June and July.
Great. How are issues between roommates handled and resolved?
Yes. So we do have processes for all these things. I think each year we see new roommate conflict issues pop up for different reasons. But the biggest ones really come down to communication. I don't have a hard and fast number, but I would say majority of the roommate complaints that come to our attention um, can be resolved if they are caught early on with very clear and respectful communication. And so I think starting to talk to your students about those things and what that looks like for them. If they don't get along with their roommate or there are those issues, whether that's like, my roommate's eating my Cheetos or bigger issues, my roommate has a guest over all the time, my roommate's not respecting our roommate agreement and those things. We do have our resident assistants who are student employees that live within the residence halls, and they are trained in a base level of conflict mediation. So all roommate conflicts, we ask start with them. We will see conflicts about, roommate eating Cheetos that students and their parents are like emailing the president's office. And that is a really big escalation for something that can be as simple as just a respectful conversation. And so we know for you all who are support systems, parents, etc., you want your child to feel safe and secure and supported, start with us. And so we have our area coordinators and our residential life coordinators, as Rashawn mentioned on that first slide, that your student can reach out to. We really recommend pushing that communication through your student. As much as you have advocated for your students in the K through 12 system, this is that turning point where they need to start advocating for themselves and speaking up as an adult. And if you reach out to us, if you all have not heard about FERPA yet, we can't tell you much anyway. So you might be able to reach out to a student's teacher right now and ask for information about a peer conflict, and they'll let you know what's happening. Here, we can't really even confirm whether or not your student still lives with us. And there's a lot that goes into FERPA, which is not what this question was about. But we will always ask, can you get us connected with your student? We encourage your student to come talk to us, and we can talk through the specific situation that's happening and get them connected to support resources to address the problem. We do have a room change process should the situation warrant that. But again, we sometimes have my roommate ate my Cheetos and now I'm mad, so now I want a room change. And we don't have the space as we're talking about this wait list of, 2,000 people some summers. We're trying to prioritize pulling people off the wait list, not moving roommates, because two people can't really just have a conversation as adults. And we do workshops and stuff on some of that conflict resolution and wanting them to gain those skills, but just putting that out there as well.
Great. Thanks, Hannah. Just in case folks don't know, FERPA is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It's definitely something that will impact your student as they enter higher education. It's basically when their educational rights transfer from you to them when either they turn 18 or start at a higher ed institution. So once they start here, they are in charge of their own educational rights. So and it sounds like housing falls under that. So thanks for mentioning that, Hannah. Let's see. I think we touched on this a little bit about how the roommate and room selection process works. The question is, if confirmed, when will we find out what building we're assigned to? So maybe
Yeah.
just very
So,
briefly recap that process and then when
yeah,
they
that's
find
not a
out.
problem. Actually getting a lot of good questions from, folks, which is really nice to see. So roommate and room selection process we talked about is once you get confirmed based on the groups that we cluster together, you'll be able to do the roommate selection process and searching for those students who are quote unquote tagged in the same community and group. That is the same way it's gonna work. So once all the roommate selections happen and verified and everything, students will then be sent an information on when they can access the room selection process. And the goal is to have you and the roommate or roommates have the same around the same time so that you can search more options and make sure you get locked into the same rooms. Choosing a room is where it goes on the student's hands. It's their choice, what they're looking for. They're looking at it, it will bring up, the system will bring up, hey, these are, if you're looking for example, a double standard room, it'll show all the buildings and rooms that are still available for double standards. In the little description of each room, it will show 1 or 2 bed spaces available. It says 2, that would be meaning that you can go in, select the 1 bed and pull the roommate that you had verified as your roommate to assign them to that bed. And where that bed is, the building you're gonna be assigned to. So we're not assigning students per se to a specific building, with the exception, of course, those that are in thematic communities. Those are already locked into which buildings they are. So for first gen, Black Scholars House are all in Parkside, Honors and Pride House, and International House are in Hillside, and then transferred Beachside. And if I miss one, I'm sorry, I'm going through a lot of information. So you understand, so if you get offered and are confirmed for a specific thematic community, you're gonna be in a specific building, and you already know that. The rest of them, though, it's where you find the room that suits your preference in terms of the layouts or whatever, and you lock it in, then that is it. The only time we would not guarantee that, or let's say honor that room selection, is if we had a maintenance issue during the summer that we had to close the room down. We would let the students know in advance and stuff like that, and of course we work with them to make sure that themselves and the roommate are still together in wherever proximity is the same spot.
Great, thank you. All right, I think it is 5:52. We're going to answer a few more questions live, and then we are going to move on to just our last little wrap-up portion. All right, how about any advice for transfer students? Does the transfer village always fill up? I mean, I'm guessing it all fills up, but yes.
Yeah, I can jump in on that as far as to clarify. I saw a couple of questions that were answered in the chat, but for thematic housing, there's no priority for thematic housing. So like you clicking a thematic house would not prioritize you to get into housing in any sort of way. And they are open to all. So as far as our transfer student community filling up, transfer students can live anywhere across our communities, but our specific transfer thematic housing, has high interest year to year. It shifts year to year. I am looking to Rashawn, but I do believe it does fill up year to year. We just ask that if you are interested in thematic housing, that you are interested in the transfer living community.
Thanks.
I see it already. Are we building more housing? Yes. La Playa Hall comes on live fall 2026 if all things go to plan. And we are in continued conversations with campus, with the city, with our bank account on making sure that we can meet the needs of our housing student population. If anyone's ever done like a house renovation or any sort of construction project, we know those things take time and money. And unfortunately, we aren't able to build housing as fast as our students need housing, which is why we hired a person who is our off-campus housing liaison to really bolster out that program and those resources. I will also share, while we house about 3,200 students, our campus community is 40,000 students. So thousands of students across campus, tens of thousands of students find local accommodations to live in. I see the guest and visitor policy coming in. All of our policies can be found on our website. What I really encourage people to take a look at is our packing list and what is not allowed. So like you can't bring an extra mini fridge. We do provide a mini fridge and microwave in each room that meet the wattage allowance for each space. Extra appliances, like you're not allowed to have like your own air fryer in the room. These policies are set by our fire marshal. Guest and visitor policies, we ask that people do not stay more than 3 nights consecutively in a 2-week period. That then starts to fall into cohabitation, which you are paying for 1 bed space, not you and a guest to live with you all the time. It also impacts your roommate, your suite mates, because our bathrooms are shared, etc. And so you and a roommate would be able to discuss what specifically it looks like to have guests over. Is it okay to have guests from class over? Is it okay to have Tinder dates over? Is it okay to have a significant other over? And the differences between those things, between family coming into the room, etc. And that roommate success plan really gets into the nitty gritty of guests, as that usually is one of the big roommate conflict topics.
Great. Thank you so much, Hannah. Sorry, I was answering a question here. All right, I think we should probably move on. The housing staff, please definitely continue to answer questions in the Q&A. And in the meantime, I am going to talk briefly, just kidding, about new student orientation. Again, my name is Rachel. I am the New Student and Family Programs Associate Director. Our director, Jesse Ramirez, is also here with us today. We host new student orientation known as SOAR, Student Orientation Advising and Registration. Sessions begin June 10th and go through August 12th. And in July, those dates are only for transfer students. So June and August are more of our first time, first year dates with a couple exceptions at the end of July. And then the middle 3 weeks of July are all for transfers. Your student will select their own orientation date through their student center and called My CSULB. They will only see dates that are available to them based on their academic college. So if they're nursing, that falls under Health and Human Services, and they will come on a Health and Human Services day. So definitely, the sooner you sign up, the better choice of dates you'll have. And the sooner you can come in the summer, the better choice of classes you'll have. So give our office a call at 985 5515, and we can answer any questions you might have. And then our website is also here on the screen. It's just the really short URL that will take you to both of those things. And then I am going to hand it over to my coworker, Nina Luxon.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm dropping a couple of links in the chat. Again, thank you all so much for joining us, for all the parents and families that were able to come and join us. I'm Nina Luxon. I'm the New Student and Family Programs Program Coordinator, but I primarily work with parents and family members, so you will see a lot of me throughout the summer and throughout the academic year. I'm your point person throughout your student's college journey, so I'm here to help and support. Since your student will be attending their SOAR orientation this summer, we just want to remind folks that SOAR is a student-only event, but we also offer parent and family orientation to each day throughout the summer, which takes place alongside your student's SOAR experience. So these parent and family orientation sessions talk about a wide range of resources and information specifically geared towards parents and family members. So as your student makes their SOAR date reservation, be sure to click on the link or scan the QR code to register for parent family orientation the same day as your students SOAR, and see some of our other engagement opportunities such as beach connection sessions, which are virtual sessions. And also on the website, you can find the information to subscribe to our Beach Family newsletter, which is our bi-weekly free newsletter specifically crafted for parents and families to stay involved. Each edition has campus updates, important deadlines, upcoming events, resources, and much more. So our first edition comes out in late May or early June. And if you have any questions, please feel free to visit us on our website or send us an email to pfo@csulb, and I will be happy to assist you. But that is all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nina. All right, so our last and final reminder is that the housing application is due May 1st. Get it in soon, maybe tonight. That is also the last day for anyone you know who hasn't yet to declare that they are going to attend CSULB if they've been offered admission. So if you are on this call, that means that you are already accepted and are going to join us in the fall, which is fantastic. But just a heads up, if you know anyone that's still deciding, May 1st is the day. And please make sure that your student signs up for SOAR and that you join us at PFO if you're able. Thank you very much to the housing team. Y'all are incredible. I think we answered, let's see, over 136 questions tonight. That is fantastic. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Um, if you have additional questions, oops, sorry about that. If you have additional questions, here is our contact information one more time. I also want to plug very briefly, the next two virtual Q&As will be just like this one, but with different guests. Our admissions department will be visiting us next Wednesday, April 23rd. We have moved the time up from 4 to 5 for that session. So it will not be 5 to 6, it will be 4 to 5. And if you registered for this webinar, that means you were already registered for the admissions webinar. And then on 2 Wednesdays after that, May 7th, you were already registered for the webinar with financial aid, which is a very popular one, as you can imagine. So April 23rd, admissions, May 7th, financial aid. And if you are registered for this webinar, you are already registered for those two. And it is actually the same Zoom link, so you can join that same way. You will get reminders, but just FYI. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us this evening. It is 6:01. We are going to go ahead and wrap up. Really appreciate everyone's time and energy tonight, and we are really looking forward to meeting all of you in the fall, or actually the summer for orientation folks, maybe move-in weekend for the housing folks. Really high energy time. So thank you again, and go Beach. Goodbye. See if I can stop.